Welcome to SVG-TV News for Tuesday, September 18, 2018. I am Rochelle Batiste with the details. Senior leaders of the Pentecostal Assembly of the West Indies are calling on the authorities to stop the bickering among themselves and put up a united front in the fight against crime. Speaking on Monday's Encounter program on SVG-TV, the church leaders shared their opinions on possible interventions to deal with the crime situation in SVG.
I believe that the church has a significant role to play in this. I firmly believe it. I believe it. We got to double our efforts. Amen. We got to go back to the hoods. Go back.
More time to our nation as a people. You know, some of us, we need to get back in the school. It's so a shame. It's really, you know, I don't want to say demeaning, but it's really a terrible thing when we have 16-year-olds involved in kidnapping. You know, and we need to infiltrate the schools.
In need the dead pet man, pull out some of them murders and let me hang them all the morning. Call me to sign it, I will. Call me to pull the leave, I will. We have to deal with them accordingly. Criminals must not commit these murderous acts, senseless act, and just go to prison, lock away for some years, and then you hear them asking for mercy committee to get them mercy.
It's just that you have all these things to contend with what they call, but when they talk about contempt of court and things, if the matter is being dealt with and you speak out of turn, you could be accused of a number of things. Folks, the aim is not to make anybody, any individual look bad. The point is, if the system is broken, let's go about fixing it.
Pastor Noel Clark said he believes that human rights organizations are preventing the enforcing of some laws.
Human rights is giving license to human wrong. Respectful, that's my conviction. You're giving license to human wrong because we need to bring back the cat o' nine tail. You see, those 7 men that it is alleged held up our beloved sister last night or yesterday. Caesar, right? Sister Caesar. Those 7 men need to be flogged. I hope they're listening to me on the past. Like I said, you need to be flogged. Why would you go on to an innocent woman who's making contributions as a neurologist in this country? A lovely lady, Christian lady. You're going to hold up a gun at a knife point and with that gun involved. But they must be dealt with.
Meanwhile, Bishop Sonny Williams, noting that crime is a complex issue, said he believes that Vincentians have lost their way with God, and this has resulted in negative outcomes for the society.
And we refuse to acknowledge that much of the lawlessness, wantonness that's going on in the country is because a lot of Vincentians, we have gone away from God.
Yes,
that's right, man.
Do all that you have to do. If you tell me about obeying parents and law and order and respect and all of that, that's the implication when a nation is going away from God. The manifestation, what we are having now is a manifestation of rebellion against the Creator who has established rules and order for us to live by.
Leader of the opposition New Democratic Party, Dr. Godwin Friday, has said that he is willing to work with government and in particular meet with Prime Minister Dr. Ralph Gonsalves to address crime. Speaking on Boom FM on Monday, the Prime Minister was asked if he would meet with the opposition leader, and the Prime Minister said there is a matter of trust involved.
I do not have the trust in the current leader of the opposition.
Not even to deal with the matter of crime?
Absolutely not. I don't. Because he's being opportunistic about it, and he is suggesting, he is making statements which are just plain wrong. You call them extreme. I call them erroneous to the nth degree. So that if persons like that want to politicize crime, in the same way you can't politicize the worship of God.
The Prime Minister said that he had dialogue with the then opposition leader, Arnim Yusuf, on matters of security, but Yusuf spoke about it and they soured the relations with the opposition. Dr. Friday said that the Prime Minister is refusing to acknowledge that crime is a problem in SVG, and the NDP's recent walks was to raise awareness on the issue. In Monday's radio appearance, the Prime Minister was asked if he acknowledges this to be a problem, and he responded in the affirmative.
We have a problem with crime. We have a problem with all sorts of things. I've never said that we don't have an issue with crime in the country. What I take issue with is the twin thesis advanced by the leader of the opposition, Lorraine Friday. That first of all, that the criminals have overrun the country and the police are not capable. The police have no capacity in stemming the tide of criminal activity. I have said that one crime is one crime too many. One homicide is one homicide too many. One robbery is one robbery too many. I'm not saying that there's not crime.
The Prime Minister said that the opposition is using the crime issue to instill fear and as a platform to raise their political status. He said that Vincentians are not fearful, but rather cautious.
Average Vincentians do is what they have been doing is to be careful, to be cautious, to use prudence, good sense, take measures for their own personal safety and security, but not fair.
The Prime Minister said that his government has introduced new strategies to deal with crime, which in his opinion are working. He noted too that many persons have said that poverty contributes to crime, but he disagrees.
Changes in the evidence laws to make it stronger for the prosecution, organizing a prosecution service, National Prosecution Service, at which the fulcrum is the Director of Public Prosecution, and so on and so forth. All these are important, quote-unquote, anti-crime measures taken. But I want to say the thesis is false, that poverty and economic deprivation cause crimes. A person may be poor, but that doesn't mean that you must have an impulse to go and rob somebody.
Meanwhile, Prime Minister Gonzalez said the government has put in place deliberate policies which allow women greater access to legal firearms. The Prime Minister, who was speaking on Boom FM on Monday, said in the past, police commissioners were not supportive of women holding firearms and they prevented many from owning one. He said his administration felt it necessary to deal with matters in a more structured way to allow for ownership for law-abiding citizens, which in turn has increased women's access to owning a firearm.
The grant of the firearm licenses by the commissioners of police historically has been very capricious. And we decided that we will have a broader committee, including the commissioner, and to have a system where we have a shooting range and that you have proper interviews and people learn how to fire the gun. And in that way, we decided that that was a female empowerment issue, because you had few women with firearms before. And women wanted firearms, but they were being routinely turned down because they said that they didn't have the capacity. There was a bias. So we built a structure and a system, including training, to facilitate that.
3 persons have been charged in connection with last Saturday's robbery of medical doctor Tawana Brown Caesar. The police say they have charged 34-year-old Glenville Harry of Vermont, Elroy Rogers, a 26-year-old laborer of New Montrose, and Roshan Robinson, a 29-year-old mechanic of Camden Park, with the offense of robbery. The men appeared in the family court today and were denied bail. The matter has been transferred to the Kingston Magistrate Court. court. The three are among 8 persons who were apprehended last Saturday by the police at a house in the Sand Hill area and who are helping them with the investigations into the robbery of medical doctor Tawana Brown Caesar at Cedars around 9 p.m. the same day. The police said that the 39-year-old doctor, who is the wife of Government Minister Subota Caesar, was getting out of her motor vehicle with her child when 2 masked men armed with a gun and a knife accosted her and relieved her of her handbag containing several items valued at over 10,000 EC dollars. The police said in a release today that they have apprehended the 9th suspect, Ulrich Devon Manison Hansen, also known as Chucky, and he is also assisting with their investigations. Former leader of the opposition New Democratic Party, Arnim Eustace, has responded to Sir James Mitchell's statement in which he said that Eustace was his biggest mistake. Sir James made the comment on Boom FM last week Tuesday, and it was carried in last Friday's edition of the News newspaper. Today, Eustace, appearing on Nice Radio, described the former Prime Minister's statement as venomous, bearing in mind that Sir James had applauded him for his contributions to the country as Minister of Finance in the Mitchell administration. Eustace read a letter which he had written to Sir James, said things got ugly when he decided to cut Mitchell's pay.
Prime Minister myself, your attitude changed drastically from the moment I reduced your salary when I became Prime Minister. I was of the view that the country could not afford, neither was it fair to pay 2 Prime Minister's salaries. I will never regret that decision.
Eustace applauded Sir James for taking responsibility for the so-called error he made by apologizing to the Vincentian people. He pointed to 4 areas where he has done differently from Sir James Mitchell, of which he is proud.
I resigned as leader early enough in this administration to give my successor years rather than mere months to stamp his leadership and prepare for elections. I will never ever be so presumptuous to, self-serving and destructive as to present my opinion on any NDP policy as that of the party. Who are you to state NDP's position in China? That is the province of the leader, Dr. Friday, not its past president. I will always endeavor to encourage Dr. Godwin Friday, my capable successor, a man of integrity. If he needs me, I will avail myself to him. If he does not need me, I'll take no offense. I fear that despite your overall good record of governance, your post-service contribution will be remembered for its toxicity and self-praise.
Eustace resigned as leader of the NDP 2 years ago, making way for Dr. Godwin Friday. In other news, the National Parks, Rivers and Beaches Authority is conducting beach and marine cleanup exercises under the South Coast Rehabilitation Project as it continues to emphasize the impacts which the marine environment has on life both on land and at sea. Yesterday, a team from the authority planted mangrove tree seedlings at Canash to shore up the beach natural defenses against coastal degradation and improve the habitat for marine life. The project involves Dive St. Vincent conducting marine cleanup activities along the South Coast Strip. Project Officer Carmelita John said it is important to preserve the natural environment and consider the project necessary for conservation and climate change resilience standpoint.
They've done the Great Head Bay, cleaning up that beach and taking up stuff from under the water, up approximately 60 feet deep, 60 feet offshore. We found a lot of tires, vehicle parts, a lot of debris. And they continued last week in the Indian Bay area. Today they're starting at Villa and next week they'll be concluded in this vicinity. And the idea of that is that we know that a lot of this material comes from upstream, because Great Head Bay, although it is not a part of the South Coast Marine Conservation Area, it is in proximity, and in terms of the amount of pollution, it contributes greatly to the pollution of the ocean, because there's the output of a river coming down there in Annesville right behind the sporting complex. So we thought it best that we do as much as we can in that area in terms of conservation, and given that we are also in the hurricane season, what blockage of rivers causes flooding. So this of course might have to be an ongoing activity somehow. The national parks normally does work like that during the year, so they would have to look at their programs and so to see how we can continue that.
Office Manager Divson Vincent Jacqueline Samuel said it is hard task as the seafloor is littered with all kinds of garbage.
Apart from the tires, there were several huge logs that we had to take out, and we had to employ the use of a chainsaw to cut them up. At the end of Great Head Bay project, which lasted 5 days, we took out 5 loads of a 4-ton truck from Great Head Bay only. There was some stuff that had to be transported here to the dock, and that measured 2 pickup trucks. We also had to empty 1 waste mass to skip. And last week, we sent back another team to Great Head Bay, and that netted 1 truckload of material again. So in terms of weights, it is difficult to estimate, but it's quite a lot. It's actually mind-boggling. And as you can see on the dock today, this is what just came out from right under the dock.
Samuel said everyone is dependent on the ocean, and as such, everyone has a role to play in its preservation.
Yes, we need to do a follow-up in this immediate area because we only have 1 week at each site, and that wouldn't adequately cover all the material that is down there. So by Friday, we'll be moving from Villa up to Canash, but we'll need to revisit all 4 sites sometime in the future, especially after the rainy season, because things are being disposed of in the river, and there's a river at Great Head, so everything comes down from those communities that are along the river and end up in the sea. So we need to revisit those sites. Like I said, the health of the marine, the health of the sea affects our lives. This is a very popular destination for beachgoers, and if you see what we are bathing in. When the visitors abroad come, we have designated dive sites that we take them to. They are more pristine, but this is for our people, and we need to look forward and think about what we do before we do it. You might find people come and just dispose, and in the end, this is the net result.
Reach for the stars. That's the advice given by Parliamentary Secretary in the Ministry of Education, Deborah Charles. She was speaking to 33 students who received bursaries today from Generation Next, a group of young people based in North Leeward, to assist with their education at the SVG Community College. Charles encouraged the students to work hard to achieve their goals.
I'm happy this afternoon that 33 of you are being rewarded for the work you have been doing in your educational pursuit. I'm asking you to stay dedicated and committed to your task. I do not know what your goals are. I can only encourage you to reach for the stars. You know what your goals are. You know from where you are coming. And I believe that Senator James and myself, we are not from the more affluent society. We came up by pulling our bootstraps up and working ourselves to the limit so that we can be where we are now. And I'm saying to you, you can do just that. The sky is the limit. All you have to do is reach for the stars. Reach, work hard, and do your best. Work hard, work smart.
Generation Next is the brainchild of Government Senator Carlos James, who told the recipients, who each received $500, that the program, which began with the provision of assistance to students in North Leeward, has now been extended beyond the borders of that community. He said the goal is to assist students in need nationwide.
Recipients of the bursary program 2018, I want you to understand that this program though it started in North Leeward, has extended nationally, where we now have recipients as far north as Sandy Bay, I believe, in Park Hill, and also there's also a recipient from Otley Hall in West Kingston, here close to where I believe Senator Charles resides and have an interest. And it just shows you that expanding our access to college education program, we're focusing nationally on how we can provide funding and opportunities for funding for students, not just in North Leeward, but across the entire country. Because what the target we're setting nationally is not just focus in one geographical area.